All right, so thank you to everyone for joining today. I am Fiona Wolfarth. I am the Develop Pillar lead for the Medtronic Jewish Community Committee. And one of those responsibilities is to bring in professional development speakers to kind of help everyone out and give some insight. So I'm very excited today to introduce Sheila Clemenson. Sheila is a wildly successful career coach in my brain. She has her own business, Transition Coaching Services, and she has an extensive background in HR. So she's been my go-to career resource for years now, and she's a very dear friend of mine. So I'm very excited to have you here today, Sheila, to give your presentation, and I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here today and to share some great information and hopefully a fun experience with all of you. So we're talking about visioning your career moving forward. And with that, I'm going to start sharing my presentation, but I don't completely speak off of this. So this is just kind of something that can kind of ground us in. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So today we're going to talk about visioning your career moving forward. And I think that this is an incredibly timely topic. I don't know if you've heard a lot of statistics or different things that are going out and around about these days, but a statistic out there is that 1 out of 4 people will be changing their jobs this year. And the source for this is actually a people analytics firm called Visure's report. And the timeliness of this in alignment with the pandemic is really such that the landscape of our jobs and our work environments have changed forever. Okay, and with that, when we look at where we've come from to where we're going, the whole world basically went virtual. We went very comfortably into remote working situations. For people who couldn't do remote, a lot of them did hybrid working situations. And this pandemic has given us a whole new experience of the world of working. And so, when we look at this and how we bring this experience in, I think it's truly, how do we use this experience to help us set our bar and raise our bar higher for ourselves in terms of what it is that we want to be doing every day, how we want to be fulfilled in a more meaningful and purposeful way. And people are thoughtful about this right now anyway. And so meeting you kind of where you're at from this perspective, I think is a really great thing. So I specialize in career transitions, which also include promotability. Okay. And, I think BLS.gov has said about people will change jobs or careers 14 times within their lifetime. And so if you think about the number of changes that people make, what I try to do is I try to help people be more strategic and intentional in their career choices, in their career transitions, so that they can make better decisions and become more successful. Okay, and so this is kind of the framework that I'm kind of building our time around, is to kind of get you thinking about this. Okay, so our takeaways today. Our takeaways are, number 1, to visualize your ideal experience of the future. A lot of work-related job search things that we do is very heady. We're really in our head. Oh my God, I got to update my resume, and I got to make sure that I'm checking all the boxes on everything that I need to do for the next job that I want or the job that I'm in. And really, we kind of lose focus about our heart center and our feelings and our gut, and reconnecting with the reasons why you're doing all of this hard work anyway is one of the most important things about visualizing and connecting with being strategic and intentional and bringing those SMART goals forward. It all starts with a vision. It starts with what it is that you really want to be doing. Okay. So when my clients, I say, what do you really want to be doing every day? Let's say the genie comes out of the lantern and says, hey, I'm going to give you whatever it is that you want to do, but you need to be clear about what it is and be specific. Okay. And so the first part of this is defining the what it is. Okay. From there, we're going to look at assessing, identifying your values and strengths. I'm going to be giving you some resources that are good for you to do that, which will help you do a deeper dive in some homework to consider ways to bring more of these into your professional life. And then we're going to look at really creating this vision story. I know, how can we do that in an hour? You're going to see. Statement, you can build from there. And, really connecting with your authentic desires, and more importantly, your personal truth and living into your values, okay? Which is really important to have an alignment of your values with everything that you do, because there will be a disconnect if you don't. And then 4, we're going to finally look at identifying, creating SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, with accountability partners, and kind of talk about how important it is to have an accountability partner or two in building that going forward. Okay. So what I want to say about this is, and Fiona, I'm just going to check in with you. If people have questions, because I'm not able to see questions with my presentation, feel free to interrupt me if it's something that people want to know about right away. And otherwise, you can save the questions to the end, and we can do it that way too.
Absolutely.
Does that sound good?
That sounds good. And if anybody doesn't want to be the person to interrupt, please feel free to send them over the chat, and I'm happy to interrupt you on the spot.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. This is interactive. This is like really for all of you. And so that's kind of what I'm doing this for. Okay. All right. Now, I want you to imagine, okay, what would you do if you could create anything that you wanted in your career? This is really that wonderful place to be, okay? Now, when I got my career development certification, I had an assignment that I needed to do, and I got this after 20 plus years in HR, so HR is my foundation. But I figured that I needed some tools and some resources to kind of fill my toolbox. One of the things I did was actually a vision board, and it's a career vision board that is called the Coat of Arms. And I kind of put this up here for you guys to see, because this was about visioning what my job as a career specialist, career advisor, career coach, consultant, HR, whatever you want to call it. And some things that I created. So I started my business in January of 2018. And I had some very interesting thoughts at the time about, what I wanted to create. I had left my previous employer. I was there 9 years at Boulder Community Health and Human Resources. And I ran out of there with burnout, with my hair on fire. Recruiting a lot of clinical nurses within the nursing shortage and a lot of craziness, as well as doing a lot of other things. What was really important to me, bottom right corner, is sitting in my office chair in a place of Zen and feeling like really different with my career, right? I wanted to work from my heart and helping people. I wanted to be at peace. You see the BBB, I really wanted to be in an integrity. So I was trying to bring, these feelings and these qualities and these values in. When you look at the top right, I help people see things more clearly. I travel in my job. I bring people together. I help people through mazes. I kind of represented some different things that I do. I use assessments to help people figure out where they want to be. If you look at the far left, these are places that I do it. I'm in the Boulder area, foothills. I love Kauai. It's my heart home. I used to live there 6 years. So if I can work remotely and go back, that is a dreamy, dreamy, realistic dream for me. And then, when you look at the bottom left and the middle bottom, these are people that I work with, people who are in search of something different, as well as, the bottom is, stepping into some scary, exciting things. Like for me, you see a hot air balloon because I really want to do that. I'm kind of afraid of heights. And so I'm going to try to figure that out. So I wanted to share that with you. It's very powerful to create some vision boards for yourself, whether you do it old style, cutting out pictures, which we don't really do anymore. You can create them on Canva without even paying for a membership. You can create them on Pinterest, your Pinterest boards. You can do a lot of fun things like that. So, that's just something to kind of make your dream a little bit more alive and the parts of it that you want to bring more to life for you. I'm going to take you right now into the interactive part of this, and this is something that you need to participate in. I'm going to be taking you into the future self visualization called the interview game. And I'm going to stop share my screen for a second because I really want you to grab some paper, grab your computer, start taking some notes, because we're going to do a future self visualization right now. And where I'm getting this from is it's from Martha Beck's book called Finding Your Own North Star, Claiming the Life You Were Meant to Live. And this exercise is called the interview game. This is a visualization where you imagine that you've moved forward in time. It is anywhere from 1 year to several decades in the future, okay? And you just picked up a copy of a magazine. And the picture on the cover is a portrait of you. The headline promises an article written by a well-known interviewer that will tell readers all kinds of interesting things about your life and times. Now, I'm going to be asking you some questions, and I want you to answer them. And I want you to answer them with what comes to the top of your mind. Or if you're a really visual person, if you're looking at what you want, you're looking at your magazine, you can kind of see pictures. Maybe you can read from that if you're a visual kind of person. But otherwise, don't think too hard. Just write what comes to you, because that's really what we're going for here. Okay. So I'm not going to be giving you a lot of time on these questions. If you don't know the answer to a question, don't be concerned about that. Okay. You're not supposed to know the answer. Okay. So are you ready? The first question, what magazine is it? And who is the interviewer? And if you're several decades in the future and you don't have a copy of a magazine, this could be an electronic version or a website or some new device that we don't even know about yet that you're looking at it on. Okay. What group of people typically read this magazine? Why do the readers want to know about you? And what do they want to know about you? And I want to say there's nothing too dreamy in this visioning dream time, okay? You can go as far out there as you want. The interviewer has written a description of your home where the interview took place. Read the description, maybe look at some pictures. Where is your home And what does it look like? I have had some people tell me that they showed up in a place they didn't even ever consider that they would be. And I always find that really interesting. How does the author describe you physically? What does the article say about your clothes, your demeanor, your mannerisms, the way you hold yourself? Do you get a sense of that? Is there anyone else in your home with you during the interview when it's taking place? And this can be 2 or 4-leggeds. It could be no leggeds and 8-leggeds. And I'll just let you think about that. So where we kind of go with this is if somebody else is at home with you, do you have a partner or a spouse that is involved in this interview that you're in? Or are you just kind of on your own? You know, what does that kind of look like and what does that feel like in this experience? The author writes about the way you spend a typical day. What is it like? When we look at this, this is typically your professional life. It could be after your professional life. This is sometimes, you know, how do you start your day? What does that look like? If you don't know specifically what you're doing within your job during that day, you know, what are you involved in? You know, how are you spending your mornings? How are you spending your lunchtime and your afternoons? What are you doing while you're spending your valuable time every day? Are you having meetings with people? Are you collaborating? Are you solving really amazing problems? You know, think about some of the things that you like to do and what that looks like. And then you can go into the rest of your day. You know, how do you close that out? And what's important to you as you are ending your day? Since we don't have a lot of time to go over all of this, you can just kind of jot some notes down for yourself that you can write a little bit more about at length later. The interviewer describes some photographs that you have in your home. Who or what and what is in them? I've had people tell me they have their world travels, a lot of family, and I've had other people tell me they just have a lot of amazing artwork on their walls. So there is no particular right answer. All right, this is the hardest question, I think, in my mind. The author writes a good deal about your best known achievement. What is it? And like I said, nothing is too dreamy in this place. I've had people tell me they've developed the cure for AIDS. And I've had a lot of people tell me a lot of other really cool things. And know that this is your dreamy dream. You may have already achieved it. It might be something that you're really looking forward to. And know that you can write more about this. There's a motivational paragraph or two about the hard times in your life and how you worked through them. What does it say? The interviewer asks you what advice you would have given to your younger self. What's your answer? I would have told my younger self to hold on to my house in Kauai and to not sell it, because I'm really missing that right now. You know, there's always sometimes those things that, like, well, what would you have told yourself? What's a good reminder for yourself from where you are now? There's a couple more questions and we're almost done. What gem of wisdom do you have for your readers? Is there anything that just really speaks to you that you really want them to know? Two more questions. And you can have access to these later if you want to use them to ponder more on. What is the most interesting part of the article from where you sit right now? Is there anything that has surprised you? Is there anything that you didn't expect? Sometimes those are, you know, our dreamy dreams kind of letting themselves in. And then the final question is,
You hear her, Danny?
What's that?
Not skipping or cutting out or anything?
Am I skipping out? Can you hear anything?
I can hear you pretty well.
Okay.
Is that happening for anybody else?
I can hear well also.
No.
Okay. Thank you. I'll try to speak louder. The final question is, the interviewer asks you about your plans for the future. What are they? All right. I'm going to take you back here. Does anybody want to just kind of say anything about this experience? I know we went through it quickly. I'm going to make sure that you have some questions and some information that I send you guys after this. Does anybody want to share anything? Anybody?
I would say it's fun to use a different side of the brain. I'm an engineer by background, and this isn't the side I normally exercise.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, most of us don't use this side of our brain. In the career coaching that I do, I don't often do. There's one session I do with some visioning, but it's really important to do this. It's important to take the time to do it. Okay. All right. Well, you can ponder upon that and just know that your answers to these questions can be written into a future vision story, a vision statement of what you want your life to become. You can go into as much detail as you want to, or then you can choose to do it with pictures and other things. But this is just something to reconnect you with yourself and the things that are important to you. Okay, because next we're going to go into, I might have to get Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going to go into identifying your values and your strengths. So really kind of where I was going with all of this was, how do you want to spend your time every day? It's one of the biggest questions that I ask my clients, because really, truly, our time is really valuable. How do you want to be spending it? What is it that you really want to be doing in your professional life and in your career and in your work? And are you doing that right now? I use a couple of really awesome tools to help people reconnect with their values and their strengths. And I'm going to send the links to you if you're interested in pursuing them. One of them is via character strengths. It's values in action. And that's a link that I'm going to send if any of you are interested. And then separately, Gallup Clifton Strength Finders. This is a book that you can purchase, and I'll have some information for you. There's also a link to do it online. If you haven't done this before, it is a very well-known leadership tool that people use, and I'm sure that you're familiar with it. What do you take from those top strengths, and what do you take from your top values, right? Well, this helps you to connect with what is really important to you. It also connects you to what makes you unique. So when I'm working with my clients, you've been who you are your entire life. You might not think that the things that you do is that special from what other people do, especially if a lot of you are alike. But you have very specific skills, experiences, talents, strengths, and values that you bring to what you do. And it's important for you to connect with what those are, because then you can decide how you want to develop and grow them further, what you want to leave in the past. And where I'm going with that is, we all have a wheelhouse that's pretty big, okay? There are a lot of different things that you can do, okay? Within that wheelhouse, there is a sweet spot where you're in the zone, where you hit the bullseye every single time, and from that place you are most successful, okay? If we can define and connect with and identify what those things are, we can then figure out ways to use them moving forward to be the best at what we do, to excel, and to accomplish more things and achieve more, and to really spend more time doing what we love to do. Now, I'm going to tell you there's another part of that wheelhouse that you have that are things you do exceptionally well that everyone wants you to do, but they don't energize you. They actually deplete you. Those are your job burnout areas. And you need to know what your job burnout areas are, okay? Sometimes it's not as easy to know what they are because we're so good at them. So I'm a certified mediator, done a lot of investigations, employee relations stuff. And I would come home from work and my husband would look at me and he would say, "What have you been doing all day? You look like you've been beaten by a baseball bat." And I'm like, "I've been doing employee relations stuff and investigations." And he looked at me and he said, "You need to stop that." And I'm thinking, I'm really good at it, but I'm really good at it. Yeah, but it wasn't energizing me. It was kicking the crap out of me. And I really had to have a real conversation with myself and say, maybe I need to be working on things from a different perspective and in a different way. So I went more towards empowering people and more engagement and more career development and connecting people with their strengths. I'm a maximizer. That's what I do. That's my top strength. So just something for you to know. And then knowing your something that you offer, and some call it that secret sauce or your superpower or whatever. I'm just going to say it's that something that you bring to what you do that not everybody can do. Knowing what that is is your opportunity to excel and to make a difference. And so I help my clients to discover those things about themselves. You're all too close to yourself to really see sometimes what that is. If you have a really awesome manager or coworkers, they can point that out to you and they can uplift you, and you can all uplift one another in a lot of different ways. But also you can connect with other people outside to help you as well. Okay. Now I want to go into the part of this exercise. This is an exercise that I love giving people that is really tied to finding ways to bring more of what you want to do into your work life. Okay. And this exercise is the job framework exercise. This is a tool. And I want to tell you, it's an easy exercise, so don't worry about reading everything. You open a Word document, you put job framework and your name on the top. And then you start looking through jobs that are interesting to you. So within Medtronic, within your company, start looking at other jobs that are out there that you are interested or curious about, some things you might want to research. Oh, you know, I'm in this area, but I wonder what it'd be like to grow into that area. And I wonder what this would be like. And what you can then start doing is start looking at jobs that you have the potential to promote into, or that you're just really excited about, and then start making a note of the job responsibilities and duties, cut and paste them from the job postings and just put them into it. Have a separate section, qualifications and requirements, and you're going to note the ones that you meet. And then you're going to have a section called values. And you're going to put different values that you align with within those types of jobs. Okay, now, some of my clients have done this and they've even had 8 pages or more, okay? I'm not too concerned about you editing things out initially. Just put a whole bunch of different things in there that you think that you would like to do in different ways that you're qualified. And then on another sheet, pay particular attention to prospective job titles and departments and experience/skill gaps, question mark. And I'm going to say question mark because you may or may not have what you need. We don't know. Sometimes it's a wish list. Sometimes if you're the right person, they're willing to train you or get you a certification you want or different things like that. Professional development is the #1 reason, other than a really bad boss, okay? A really bad manager, this is the #1 reason. The #2 reason that people leave their jobs is a lack of professional development. Where I'm going with this exercise is this is your opportunity to look at other opportunities that you're interested in, to really measure yourself again, to say, what is it that I need to do to actually meet more of those qualifications and requirements to actually start building that for myself? And this is what you can start building your SMART goals from, okay? But when I say it's a wish list, right, you know, project manager, PMP certifications, right? A lot of places will say, well, that's preferred. But in reality, we kind of know that it's required, okay? So something to think about if you were moving in that direction, that, you know, yeah, you're going to need to get your PMP certification, whether you think you need it or not. However, you never know who's going to reimburse or help pay for that maybe. And I know they're really expensive. That's just one example, but there are other examples out there that you're more in alignment with your different backgrounds. Okay, and those are great conversations to have with your performance reviews, even well before any kind of performance review, just having conversations with your manager, supervisor, and above. You know, if you have the ability to be transparent and or to be honest or to be thoughtful about what you can do from a professional development perspective, it's always good to plant some seeds. And so, like, where I'm going with this is very often we look outside ourselves for people to pay attention to what we're doing, to then recognize us and then to promote us. But really, we have to take ownership of that on our own. And we need to kind of pursue a little bit more of maybe what we need to do to grow as a professional and as a person. And so, that it's just planting some seeds to kind of give you some ideas of where to go. What I really love about this job framework is that it becomes a career planning tool that can be used for career mapping. It can be used to align yourself with other opportunities in the future, right? So you don't have to just have one for your next job. You could have one for 10 years from now. And the really dreamy job that's at the top of the pyramid, which is the one that, the genie comes out of the lantern and says, I'm going to give you whatever you want. You just have to tell me what it is and be specific. This is the job framework that tells the genie what it is and to be specific. Okay. From this place, though, you can also use this job framework to update your LinkedIn profile. You can use it for professional branding. If somebody's, putting you out there, you can use this to tell people a little bit more about yourself. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this. So I just really love sharing it. This is like a minor example of like job responsibilities and duties. I just pulled some things out, but like this is a chance to be dreamy too, and just say, what I really like to do, whether it's in another department or not, maybe even, okay? So, like I said, this is a really valuable tool that you can use to peruse and explore identifying these different ways and different things that you might want to be doing, and to try those on and see how they fit with your alignment in your own skills, experiences, and in alignment with what you want to do. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? You guys are going to have copies, PDFs of this, and
Yeah,
okay.
actually, Sheila, I got one question that I think you have kind of covered a little bit of, but just I want to make sure that it's solidly answered for this person. So how would you suggest balancing SMART goals with more abstract goals, like balancing success versus satisfaction?
Okay. Success. People define that in different ways. What success to me is going to be different from what success to you. So you need to know what your definition of success is. Okay. And with that, satisfaction. Satisfaction, I want to say, is more in alignment with engagement. I consider myself successful when my clients tell me that they love their job. Okay. That can look very different for different people. That can be about what they're doing, who they're spending their time with. That can be the impact that they're having on the world, the results that they're actually seeing because of their contributions and what they've done. Now, people are going to define that sometimes in different ways, okay? Your SMART goals on the other side of that. So what I want to say is, success and satisfaction, they're less tangible, right? They're more subject to your own definition, right? And what's important to you and your values. Whereas the SMART goals are going to be tangible things that you can work on, that you can measure, okay? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-based. This is going to be, I'm going to be getting that PMP certification. And what do I need to do for that? What qualifications do I need to meet to actually get into that program? How much do I have to study? How much do I have to pay for it? what does this look like? And those are all things that you can measure and then develop a strategic and intentional plan for. So that's what we're talking about with regard to SMART goals and setting up those goals from that place. Does that answer the question?
I think that was a fantastic answer. I haven't heard back from the person, so I think that was good. Thank you, Sheila.
Okay, awesome. So, one of the things that I want to say is that, okay, so when we look at, success and satisfaction and SMART goals, okay, there's an ownership within some of this, right? And so we're going to talk about that. But where I want to go with this is a little bit of a personal experience. And I want to say that professionally, I've done some really cool things. Personally, I've done some amazing things. But because I had the opportunity to do that, I walked a journey with my first husband, Grant, when I was 26 and he was 32. I am 53 now. That was a lifetime ago. And my first husband was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. He was diagnosed when we bought a house. We had just gotten engaged and we were planning a wedding. And we lived in northern Michigan, and he was an international sales manager, traveling all over the world. And he had the world by the tail, and we were living in this really amazing place, right? And we were really living with that rug being ripped out from under us and living in that place where, you make your plans, but, life is what happens when you make other plans, right? And so the reason why I'm going here is that life's pretty short. And sometimes we don't always have that experience staring us in the face, but I did. And so I walked that journey with him. Hawaii is my heart home because we spent his last 2 years there. And I was there with him when he died. And it was a pretty powerful experience. I took him to Secret Beach on his last day. And, this experience was something that I could have never really imagined going through. And yet professionally, I had all these different transitions through all of this. Okay. And I left my career and I became a caregiver, and then I was doing all these other things. So, transitions, I've lived that, got that life experience from, Life University. But where I'm kind of going with this is when I kind of moved back to the mainland and I reintegrated through Santa Fe, New Mexico, helping my mom build a Visiting Angels franchise. I started taking coaching training up in Denver, and I fell in love with Denver. I left Kauai because there's a lot of reasons, but basically when you're 31 years old, you can't necessarily live out there with a lot of professional opportunities, and you don't have a lot of money going through what I went through. So, kind of have to look at other options. And so I went to Coaches Training Institute, and we practiced on each other. And this one person was coaching me, and she said to me, "Sheila, when are you going to be bigger than your story?" And I just felt like I had been sideswiped. Like I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. And I was like, oh. Because my story was so much of everything that I was, that I couldn't see outside of that in terms of moving forward and building it forward, right? And there's a whole lot of things that I went through back there. And so I'm just going to take something from Brené Brown. When we don't own our stories and move forward from them, our failures, our setbacks, our hurts, the things that didn't happen, the promotions we didn't get, the things that we didn't get to do. When we don't own those, they own us. And so I just say, this is an opportunity for you to become bigger than your story, whatever that is. and to step into the role, the job, the career, the professional who you really want to be. And the biggest part about all of that journey is owning it. And that ownership of that position, that next position that you want, that's when you're bigger than your own story. And so I'm just going to toot my own horn a little bit just because I'm 4 years into my business, that I did get Solo Business of the Year with Superior Chamber this past year. And I share that just because I'm stepping into being bigger than my story. But it has been 20 plus years of really incredibly hard work of the sand making the pearl shining, okay? So we all have our own stories and we're moving forward from that and we're bringing that forward. Bring that forward and own, when we have the courage to walk into our own story and own it, we get to write the ending. We get to be the one who makes something else happen, okay? All right. Is everybody still with me?
Yep.
I don't know if there's any questions from that, but I needed to bring a little reel in because this is our lives that we're talking about. Yes, we're looking to expand professionally, but work-life balance is really kind of what all of this is about now. And, finding that for each individual person is their own journey, right? And it looks different for me, for you, for Olympic athletes. Balance looks different for all of us. So we move into this next space with regard to identifying and creating SMART goals, okay? And I love, love, love that question about the difference between the success, satisfaction, and the SMART goals, because this is really when you start looking at your values and your strengths and what you want to achieve, or on the dream job framework, those skill, experience, gaps, question mark. Do I have enough experience in this role? Do I have enough experience to move into that role? And, you can start seeing, well, maybe I need to do a little bit more of this. Maybe this is a project that I can go and I can pursue. And maybe I can take some ownership of this. And maybe this will connect me and get me more involved in an area that I really want to be involved in. Maybe you're fortunate to have some opportunities like that in Medtronic, and you can grab that and run with that to create what you want moving forward. This is about really getting creative in some ways, about looking at what some of those SMART goals might be. Sometimes this is, very casual conversations that you might have with your manager. Sometimes this is, I'd really love to be doing more of this. This is how I really want to be using more of my strengths and my talents. I don't feel like I'm really using my strengths and my talents. I'm kind of getting bored in what I want to be doing. I'm kind of getting bored in what I am doing. I should say that. And then this is an opportunity for you to look at, what else is out there? What else is out there that you could actually identify and bring some strengths into? So, if we're looking at, let's say, if one of your strengths, let's say, is you're a relator, you are a relationship builder, you are a trust builder, and you are a collaborator, but you don't have a lot of opportunity to collaborate, you need to find more of that if it energizes you. If you're doing things that deplete you, you need to be thoughtful about what those things are. And if you're really good at it, it doesn't mean you can't do them. It just means that you have to have more boundaries around them because they're going to potentially burn you out. Okay, so a lot of this is becoming more conscious about who you are, how you put yourself into the world, how you do what you do, who you are and what you do, and why you do what you do. All of those qualifiers is what makes people want to hire you, promote you, work with you. You know, the what you do is important, but it's magnified, of course, by everything else. And that's also what makes you special. So, you know, like the one example that I put, right, the easy example is, oh, I need to get this certification because I think that this is going to make me more promotable. I think it's going to give me more credibility. I think it's going to actually give me some tools, strategies, or resources that I really need that maybe I don't have right now. Like when I got my career development certification, I had my PHR certification, but you know, I needed to enter a different world of career counselors and assessments and different things that people do, right? I know HR, like, you know, with my eyes blindfolded, but I didn't know this new area. And so I needed to pursue that to bring in the missing pieces that I needed to be more effective and productive and efficient and more successful in what I do. So that's an easy one. Sometimes a little bit harder one is getting experience in another area that you don't have an opportunity for. And I just say in those places, sometimes you have to be more creative, or you can work with a career coach. You can work with your management. You can, you know, brainstorm with different groups like the one that you're in and try to, you know, build each other up and help support one another and, you know, moving forward and being more of where you want to be. And so with that, I like to say that accountability partners, you know, are important. Whether this is a colleague that you get along great with and you can build that accountability relationship where you can check in, maybe have a lunch, you know, every week, every other week. Hey, you know, how are you doing on mapping out, you know, getting these certain things, you know, done, or, you know, making time for studying for this certification that you can't find the time for. You know, brainstorming ways that you can look at your timetables and whether it is realistic for you to actually obtain that certification within the amount of time that you're setting. These accountability partners can help you decide whether it's something that really is feasible, or maybe they can give you some objective opinion, right? So just say, you know, engage with people who have similar passions to you, but also who want to support you in being successful, because that's really where it's at. Okay. So this is my information, and I'm going to give you a copy of this PDF. I'm going to also include some other exercises and things from this too as homework to kind of take with you. I also like to offer to anybody a free complimentary session. You want to do some brainstorming, if you want to ask me questions, my information's there. When you go to my website, you can hit the schedule button for a 30-minute discovery session for whatever. And I have a little something that I want to share, but I'm going to do it after I open it up to questions, because like we're right almost at the end. I want to open this up to questions. Does anybody have anything? Does anyone want to share anything about, you know, what this experience was like for them?
I just want to throw out the fact that I feel like these exercises and everything are very much in line with kind of a quote or a motto that I feel really strongly about, which is what you're not changing, you're choosing. And I love that quote because it's just, it's giving you control to change the things that you're not satisfied with. Or I really like the point that you made about even if you are really good at something, that doesn't mean that you should be the one that's doing that if it doesn't fuel you. So you have the power to do something about that. So I just really appreciate that insight.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, I want to leave you with this message. Okay. This is the Holstee Manifesto. I think it's the perfect thing to leave you with at lunchtime. This is your life. Do what you love and do it often. If you don't like something, change it. If you don't like your job, then you really needed this presentation. And they would say quit, but I would say don't do that. Don't do that. You need to talk to me. If you don't have enough time, stop watching TV. If you're looking for the love of your life, stop. They will be waiting for you when you start doing the things that you love. Stop overanalyzing. Life is simple. All emotions are beautiful. When you eat, appreciate every last bite. Open your mind, your arms, and your heart to new things and people because we are united in our differences. Ask the next person you see what their passion is and share your inspiring dream with them. Travel often because getting lost will help you find yourself. Some opportunities only come once, so seize them. Life is about the people you meet and the things you create with them, so go out and start creating. Life is short. Live your dream and share your passion.
Sheila, what did you say the name of that?
It's
that one?
called the Holstee Manifesto, and that's Holstee. You can look that up online. It'll show up. So there you go. It was really a pleasure to share all of this with you, and I'll try to connect Fiona with some of these materials so that you can do this on your own when you have more time than just 1 hour in the middle of your day. So thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sheila.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.